Bingo the Naughty Dog by Bradley Juby. Audiobook by Bradley Juby. Sample chapter, The Dog Kennel. Hayden and Jackson Thornton, two loser brothers who called themselves incels, would arrive at the corner of Waterloo and Sooner Roads, north of Edmond, Oklahoma. They had their sights set on meeting a young 15-year-old girl known as Sophia, with hopes that the two 27-year-old twins would finally get laid. Neither of them were popular with women. They planned to take their date back to their place for sex, meth, and anime. They had plans that night. Their dry spells would end on a mild early October night in Oklahoma. The leaves had begun to fall where the cross timbers meet the Great Plains. Those leaves were turning all kinds of colors. "Hey, Hayden," said Jackson in anticipation of their night of passion. "This is going to be so sweet." Hayden, driving their hand-me-down Honda Civic, replied, "We're finally going to get some pussy, and the best kind as well. Sweet, young, virgin pussy. I hate that those old roasties want to keep that young poon away from us with their age of consent laws. What bullshit!" Jackson exclaimed as they approached the meeting place, a small house. But as the two kissless virgins approached the meeting place, two bad boys also waited in the wings. They both wore cheap Halloween-style dog masks. One a Doberman, the other a German Shepherd. They waited for the two nasty, smelly perverts. And another dog was watching, waiting. The dog in the Doberman mask, known as Fido, turned toward his associate, the dog in the German Shepherd mask, known as Rover, and asked, "Those chomos don't know what they're getting themselves into." "You said it, Fido," Rover answered. "I hate incels and chomos. They go hand in hand." "They really think they're getting some ass tonight," said Fido as he noticed the two losers pull up blasting anime music. It seemed too sweet. Hayden, the twin with the short hair, pulled up his cell phone and texted, "Sophia, we're here, baby." "Be out in a bit," said Sophia. Those thirsty dudes waited for their little Lolita to come out looking all cute and dolled up for them. All of a sudden, instead of their forbidden fruit, the two men in the dog masks came out, broke the glass windows of the Honda Civic, and opened the two doors. They would grab the two slime balls and drag them kicking and screaming out of the car before another dog, this one wearing a Rottweiler mask, a black cowboy shirt, and a black cowboy hat, opened the door for his men. The two were shoved and dropped to their knees before these unknown dogs. The dog in the Rottweiler mask began to speak in a gruff voice that sounded nothing like normal people in Oklahoma. "Look what we have here, gentlemen," he said in his growling voice. "Two rapscallions thought they'd get a nice piece of ass. Pity. You know the age of consent in Oklahoma is 16. We know, but bunch of shitting varmints." "Dude," said Hayden, "you're wearing a cowboy hat and a dog mask. Weak and lame." Fido then kicked Hayden right in the stomach. "You don't speak unless spoken to." "Listen, assholes," Jackson shouted as he tried to stand up. "Where's Sophia?" Rover then kicked Jackson in the stomach. "You reprobates are going to be taught a hard lesson tonight. Breaking news! There never was a Sophia! You smiley, slobbering pervs have been had. Now it's time to pay the tax, and we're auditing." "Let's get out of here, man. This is stupid," shouted Hayden as he tried to escape. He wouldn't get too far. The dog in the Rottweiler mask pulled out a big chewed bone and aimed at Hayden's brainless head. It hit with knocking accuracy. Hayden dropped down on contact. Jackson was dumbfounded. "Who the fuck are you guys?" he asked in shock. "Your turn," said the dog in the Rottweiler mask before he produced another bone. It met Jackson's face. He then joined his brother on the floor. The two lay unconscious as Fido and Rover surrounded Jackson, and the third dog had his sights set on Hayden. "Welcome to the dog kennel, you mangy mutts," said the dog in the Rottweiler mask. Then the dog began to kick Hayden as he lay barely trying to regain consciousness. The other two began beating Jackson with their steel-toed boots. Then the mysterious Rottweiler-masked Dawg produced a dog chain and began to beat Hayden as well. The beatdown lasted about 2 minutes. Within about 30 minutes, somewhere near the intersection of Waterloo and I-35, the two losers found themselves tied to a Junction I-35 sign on the Oklahoma County side of Waterloo. They were trying to stand up before two Edmond police officers began to investigate. Apparently, they found paperwork of the two sexually charged group chats next to them. And worse, they were smelling and soaked in urine. Yellow urine. Dog urine. Apparently, the dogs needed to drink more water. One of the officers then said, "You are both under arrest for soliciting a minor for sexual purposes. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be held against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you. Do you understand these rights?" "Yeah, but... Hayden objected as the two were detained by the police. "How'd we end up here, and why are we wet and smelling like piss?" The burly-headed officer then pulled out a piece of paper written with a black marker. "This is why, scumbags." The paper read, "These two perverts have been burned by Big O the Naughty Dog. Woof!" If you want to read the rest of the story, check out the links in the bio and buy the book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And join the dog fight. Woof!